words. He goes, I want you to rock star up every time, you know, it's a solo or whatever. He loves us to be out front. So that was a lot of fun, man. It's almost like, you know, in Brother Kane, we were kind of anti being rock stars, that sort of thing. And with Coop, it was the total, like my childhood fantasies of what it was like to be on stage. It was everything I thought Van Halen and Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin were, you know.
Yeah.
So, and even to this day, man, I mean, it's so much fun to get up there and jump on the riser and, you know, throw guitar picks. All this stuff that we didn't do a whole lot of in the 90s. So it's cool, man. It really is. And it's always fun for my friends and family and even fans, you know, Brother Kane fans to come to the show, and they can tell I'm having a good time. So it's a lot of fun.
Have you thought about bringing any of the theatrics into your solo shows, like maybe beheading any chickens or anything like that?
Let's see, what could we do, Thomas? I could set my acoustic on fire,
There you go.
and then I could spit blood, and then maybe someone in the audience could come up and cut my head off.
Yeah,
and
then follow it up with a ballad.
and then play the ballad. See?
Awesome.
Great idea.
But Whiskey Falls, what's the status of that band?
Well, let me start by saying I love that band so much. I love those guys. And we had an amazing opportunity to come together 3 years ago, put out an independent record, and we got some real traction at radio. We worked 2 singles. Just kind of had a lot of good mojo going, had some momentum going. And you know, that was kind of when everything changed, not only in the country music business, but in the economy at large. And unfortunately, Whiskey Falls is not a band that is based in Nashville. You know, we've got 2 of the guys live on the West Coast, and you know, we kind of approached it as a project, and it really took off faster than we, you know, thought it would. And our independent label folded, and we were in that position that we've all been in before, and so many other bands go through, where it's like, okay, well, we'll go find another label. And we really thought that should be pretty easy, especially with all of the momentum we had and the visibility we'd had. And it just didn't happen. And there's a lot of opinions about why that is, but we've written a batch of new material. I would love to see us get that off the ground again, some way, somehow. It's going to be tough. But in the interim, you know, I just feel like I'm really fortunate that Alice had a position come open again, and you know, he called me back, and you know, I stay in touch with the Whiskey Falls guys, and we want to keep writing, and we'll see what happens. I mean, for right now, we're just putting positive energy out there, and we'll see what it turns into.
Yeah, maybe even have John 5 play some finger picking bluegrass on one of your tracks.
He's pretty good at that stuff, man. He's not as good as I am at the country stuff, but no, he's great, man. And it's funny because John and I've talked about a lot of friends that we have in common in the business. I mean, a lot of the metal people may not even be aware that John has written with people like Leonard Skinner, Beyonce. I mean, he had guys all over the map. So he's a real talent, and he loves to write as much as he loves to play. So yeah, man, it's you never know.
One question I've been wanting to ask you for a long time now is you were involved with the Damn Yankees, and unfortunately that CD that you worked on with them never came out. What happened with that project?
Well, I got a call from John Kolodner, who had always been kind of watching my progress with Brother Kane, and I had written a batch of songs at the end of Brother Kane that were a little more pop. I use that word loosely. It was just more mainstream kind of stuff, and he loved a couple of the songs, and unbeknownst to me, he had been talking to Jack Blades about doing a Damn Yankees reunion, and Tommy had just committed to doing a fairly lengthy Styx tour, and so he was like, well, man, if you want to bring somebody else in, you know, you have my blessing. And one thing led to another. John said, let's call Damon, and Jack and I hit it off great. Ted and I already knew each other because we had done shows with Ted when I was in Brother Kane, and I had written some stuff with Ted. We became pretty close, so it just made sense at a lot of levels. And yeah, we started writing, and we made the record. Some changes happened within Columbia, the label, and quite honestly, man, when we got the mix, you know, the album mixes back, we were all very underwhelmed. We just, and it was a little disjointed. You know, I think that record suffered from a little bit of, I don't want to say too many cooks in the kitchen, but it was almost like you needed one person to sort of be driving the ship, and I'm sure that was always a challenge for those guys, because you got a lot of talent in the room. That's tough. So, but it was a good record. I don't think it's a great record, but it's really good, and you never know, man. Maybe some of that stuff will see the light of day sometime. I stay in touch with all those guys, and for me, it was an honor. You know, it was an honor to work with those guys. I mean, I grew up having great appreciation for all those bands that they were in and all the songs they had, and so we'll see, man. Again, you can imagine. I mean, that was a pretty cool opportunity for somebody like me that I had certainly never had the success that Styx or Night Ranger or Ted Nugent had had. So that was I was very honored.
Have you used any of that material like in your solo shows or anything, or is that pretty much nobody's heard that stuff except for you guys?
I haven't. You know, I keep meaning to dig up. I've got a cassette tape buried somewhere of those songs, and I remember there were a couple things that Jack and I wrote that started out acoustically that would be good to maybe incorporate into the acoustic shows, or maybe even do like my own version of, you know, full band. Yeah. There's some good material there, and I'll have to remember that, man. I'll dig that out. That's a good idea on your part.
Well, thank you very much. A lot of research went into this. David, my last question I have for you is, last Sunday, unfortunately, there was a big loss in the metal world. Ronnie James Dio passed away. They really rocked the metal community, and one of the things that I heard the Alice Cooper Band did was you guys played tribute to him on stage. Can you tell us exactly what you guys did in tribute of Ronnie James Dio?
Well, it's a unique situation here for two reasons. One, you know, Ronnie was as much an icon as Alice is, and they were friends, and they have interviewed each other, and we've done some shows together. But the other real connection is our bass player, Chuck. Chuck actually played in Dio for a couple of tours, and you know, we just all felt like we knew Ronnie. You know, Jimmy had done shows, you know, Megadeth and Dio, or Megadeth and Heaven and Hell, and there was just a real connection on all of us. And you know, we're always listening to either Dio or Rainbow or Black Sabbath with Ronnie singing in the dressing room before the shows. We're constantly playing that stuff. So we were shocked as everybody else. And you know, it was cool for Coop to say, hey man, we should do something as a tribute. And so what we did in our last song, we always play Under My Wheels, and normally Alice introduces the band, and right at that intro he said, hey, you know, we lost a friend and an icon, so we'd like to give him a big send-off. So everybody in the audience threw up the, you know, the devil horns, and we just stopped, and then we, you know, Jimmy counted us in, and we did the riff to Heaven and Hell, yeah, you know, for like 32 bars, and I'll never forget that, man. It was a huge festival up in Iowa, and you know, estimated anywhere between 15 and 20,000 people, and everyone had their hands in the air, and it was pretty emotional. You know, a lot of the other bands were on the side of the stage watching us. You know, Papa Roach and Godsmack and Zombie, and it was just a special moment. And again, I give Coop a lot of credit for doing that, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback from that. And you know, I think, as you and I discussed earlier, I think we've only begun to scratch the surface of the tributes and the appreciation that's going to unfold, you know, for Ronnie. And I'm happy that his legacy is going to get that. You know, Wendy will be able to, you know, that'll help her get through this time, man. I'm sure this is real heavy for her, and we're going to miss him. I think now that his voice has been silenced, there's a real void in the rock world that will never be filled again. Yeah. He was one of a kind.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Damon, that's all I have for you. I want to thank you very much for your time. Thanks. And looking forward to seeing you kick some ass today.
Well, thanks for all the research, man, and it's all good. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate it.